good Monday night, everybody. We're grateful to be back with you on this Monday night late night special. Chris McDonald with you. We've got the one and only Leslie Millwee coming up here in a minute. I want to thank Ivan Tuttle, our dear friend, for being with us earlier tonight. Pre-recorded interview. That face show was so riveting and so powerful, and we will be saying a lot more about him tomorrow in our morning Bible study and so forth. And we've got some faith programs coming up this weekend. And next week, we've got the National Rededication of the Country on Sunday. And we will definitely let you know some things we're going to be doing starting Sunday night into next week. And it's going to be all good stuff. Trust me, you're going to enjoy everything. And it's a way to honor the Lord and honor God. And speaking of my dear friend, Leslie Millwee, I know she does that. And it's good to see her tonight. And always a pleasure, friend. I'm grateful we got each other to talk to on a late night Monday night. It's always a pleasure. Good to see you tonight.
Amen. It's great to see you, and thanks for having me. My daughter said, I'd like to listen to you guys. And I said, why, honey? You get to live it every day with me. You probably don't need to listen. So,
well, mine don't listen to me at all, so I don't have that to worry about. They're asleep right now. I've just, I heard somebody say something one time, Billy. They said, what's the two greatest things in life that you want? And one of them is that we want to make our parents proud, but we don't want to make our children ashamed of us. And that's what we live for, right? So that's what I try to do on the show. I don't know if I succeed in that. My parents are gone now, but my kids are not. So maybe they'll not disown me one of these days. Hey, it's good to see you tonight. Got a lot to talk about. The big news tonight is we'll get right off the bat with this gerrymandering. We're going to talk about Comey and some other things too. I do want to just say this before we get going. We got a breaking news story tonight, folks. We'll play it for you at the end of the show. We're following this. The UAE has evidently sent missiles into Iran tonight, and we're trying to get to the bottom of that. It's how serious that is. It could be just a little skirmish, but that is the first time, Leslie, that I can think in this conflict where the Arab nations have actually taken action against Iran. I mean, they've backed us. They've not, fought the United States, but they've sort of been sitting on the sideline. But if that is true tonight, and Fox News is reporting it, John Roberts, that's a game changer over there, I would say, because that lets me know that the Arab world's getting the message that Iran don't need a nuclear weapon, and we can't just keep fighting this fight for them if they're not serious about it. They're gonna have to get involved in this fight too.
I think President Trump said something to that effect on Saturday, that there was a big thing coming that was going to, and he talks like that sometimes, but I listening to that conversation, then I think perhaps he was talking about this. I think he's privy to that, obviously, that information. And, I hope this is a game changer. I hope they understand. I think he's frustrated by the fact that they don't seem to understand this is the end. You're going to kill your people. You're going to kill everything that you hold dear because you are stubborn and won't give up. And I have to believe regime change was also thought of in the beginning. I think I just feel like Trump's always two steps ahead, especially of the media. So I hope that this is a huge game changer. They look over and go, oh my gosh, all these people around us. That was a pretty bold move, don't you think?
Oh, I think it was very bold. And I think to your point about Trump, I do not believe, and I know the media is trying to paint him that he underestimated the Iranians and he got in over his head and he's got us in a quagmire, and the Mark Kellys and the Megyn Kellys and the Tucker Carlson and all these idiots out there, they're trying to, make it seem that, Trump didn't plan ahead for this. I think he knew everything was going to happen. The only thing I would say is that Iran is a different animal and a monster other than any other nation. This is not a conventional war.
No.
And it's never been conventional, like you have alluded to already. They don't care, Leslie, if they go up in smoke. When you're fighting an enemy, it's what happened in World War II with the Japanese and those kamikaze pilots. You can't kill somebody that's already ready to have a death wish and kill themselves. And
Right.
I just think that I'm not saying he underestimated that, but I think that he's coming around to that realization more fully. And I think that that's one reason why he's given this regime a little bit of space to rethink their position. Like you said, he doesn't want to destroy the Iranian people, but I
No.
think they don't care. And I think that's exactly what they want him to do. And that you can't, it's hard to beat an enemy like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, these, especially the boys, but the women too, even though they're so ill regarded, these people from the time they're 3 years old are taught that they need to die for their cause. I mean, that is their mindset. I don't think we can possibly imagine how horrific that is, that you're raising these children like that. But those are the jihadists. Those are the people we're fighting. And this regime's been going on now for almost 50 years.
Almost 50 years, exactly.
We know that that's their mindset. That's probably, everybody under 60 feels that way. So, yeah, I hear that they think the son, the gay son, is dead, or at least gravely injured. Did you see that?
That's the rumor, yeah, and I don't doubt that. I don't think, and that's the other dangerous thing about this. You don't know exactly who's in charge, and I don't know if you remember this back in the 1980s. That was one of the things that concerned Reagan with Russia. People were always talking about Mikhail Gorbachev. And, to Gorbachev's credit, Gorbachev had a brain. He was very aware that if Russia did something to America, it was as good as sealing Russia's destruction.
Sure.
But what was the fear in the Cold War was that if Gorbachev got killed, then these Russian generals that wanted to bring the Soviet Union back to its old glory years of the Cold War, that they would do all sorts of crazy stuff. And I think the same thing applies to Iran tonight. You've got these hardliners, and I think that is where a lot of these attacks are coming from on our troops, and the things that the skirmishes in the Strait of Hormuz over the weekend. And I think that the UAE is finally woken up to the fact that these hardliners, you're not going to negotiate with them. You can keep hoping out that they're not going to attack you. And I just think they're taking the bull by the horns finally, and I think it's wise. Better them than us doing it. Let them fight this out.
Yeah.
And if the Arab world can take care of the garbage and take out the trash, so to speak, the better for us. But it's got to be done, because Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's the bottom line. And we're going to do whatever it takes to,
or anything,
or anything like that. And I'm going to tell you something else. They need to be cleared out of that strait. I mean, Trump's doing the right thing. I know we're hurting over here with the gas pumps. It was $4.20, $4.30 in Tennessee today, and I see John Quallam in the house tonight. It's worse than that out in California and out west, and I see a lot of people tell me up north that their gas is almost double that. But I do believe, and maybe I'm being overly optimistic, that by the summer, later on this summer, we're going to see a drop, because this thing, I believe, will be wrapped up. I would give it 60 days, and I'm praying and hoping that that's when all this will be settled one way or the other. I do.
I pray you're right. I know that's the big buzz around here, and we have the cheapest gas in the country, and it's $4 a gallon. It's been years and years since it was $4 a gallon.
Yes.
So, that's money off the top. It's not anything more than money off the top to these budgets. And if you're paying $200 or $300 more a month for gas for even one car, I mean, that's a huge chunk of change. So it doesn't matter that Cheetos and Cheerios went down $1, because as much as I love that, I love that, but I think people, that's just kind of in your face. I've got to purchase this every 2 or 3 days or every week, and I think it just really hits home. And of course, the Republicans are blamed for everything, and in this case, it is war, and that is what's happening. I saw where they did. The president did open some of the reserves to try to ease that, but gas is still $100 a gallon. So, I mean, a barrel. So,
do you believe that? And I'm just, and again, this is not my expertise, but I'll ask you as an opinion question. Do you think the Arab world is doing enough to help alleviate these prices? Because Leslie, when you get down to it, Iran is, I know that they're one of the top oil producers in the world, but they're not the only one. And
no.
the Saudis could help us a little bit. And I think the UAE and Qatar and all these Arab countries over there that have oil reserves too,
I agree.
they could help ease the burden. And they're taking advantage of this. And look, these billionaires are becoming trillionaires right now.
Oh, yeah.
With these oil prices.
Well,
somebody's not suffering. Somebody's eating it up.
Well, I think all those countries in the Middle East are reaping this. They
Absolutely
are. And even if it happens for 2 or 3 months, that's billions and billions of dollars they didn't have before. So you're right. They are definitely reaping those benefits. And again, I think Trump's always ahead. Maybe this was all part of the master plan to have the UAE come in at this time. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't buy all this stuff about, oh, he underestimated them and they had his number. And I'm like, are you serious? Do you really think that? I don't either. I didn't have time. That's the propaganda.
I didn't have time to download the video, but he put out a video tonight to understand about Trump derangement syndrome and gave them a prescription on how to get
that's great.
We're going to play that tomorrow night.
Oh, that's
but
hilarious.
I thought to myself, only Donald Trump can do that and get away with it. I mean, and look, love him or hate him, he has been the most fearless president I've ever seen in my lifetime. And we've, me and you said this on this show so many times. We sure are going to miss him when he's gone. I'm telling you, we are going to look back on this 8 years, the 4 years in 2016 to 2020 and now, and we're going to be grateful for these years. And I don't know if there'll be anybody, definitely not on the left, but there's never going to be anybody, I don't think even on the right, that's going to have the courage that he's had to do what's right for this country and to lead it godly and to lead it into righteousness and godliness. Leslie, people forget, and we can sort of change subjects on the rant a minute. Look, we've got a rededication coming up this Sunday, the 17th. I was telling the church Sunday that I was at preaching and speaking. Me and you are about the same age, and we grew up in the Reagan years, and Reagan, as wonderful a president as Ronald Reagan was, he never called for a national day of rededication.
No.
The only president in history, this goes back to George Washington, that I can look back on history books and say that we had something similar to this was when Abraham Lincoln established Thanksgiving as a day that we recognize God. And when he gave that famous speech, and this is how historic and prophetic this is. And Donald Trump is fully behind it. And we've talked about this too. The providence of God, even though we didn't quite understand it in 2020, and I believe without a shadow of a doubt, Donald Trump won that election in 2020. I do.
But I do too.
I don't think it would have been the best for the country had it not went the way it did, because we would be celebrating 250 years possibly under a Democrat president, and God knows what that would look like. It's not going to look like that this year. We're going to honor God. This country is going to honor God through President Trump. He's going to honor the Lord. And look, I respect that, and I am so grateful for that, and I am just sick of these self-righteous bigots and these ignorant wretches that complain about his character and all this as if they're some kind of bastion of character themselves. And I'm just so tired of it. We've got a godly president, an imperfect man that God is using perfectly. And I think I'm going to get me a T-shirt that says that, because that's exactly what's going on.
Absolutely. And I think most Christians, obviously not all, because there are turncoats, but I think all Christians at some level see that. I mean, that's one thing I hear from friends and Bible studies and groups that I went to a really powerful, it was a day basically of praise, and it had Tim Tebow and Willie Robertson and several other really great speakers that I got to hear on Saturday. And They talked about this. Tim Tebow talks about this. It is the rejuvenation of the Christian spirit of the United States. And when you think of what that is so incredibly powerful. If nothing else happened in this country, that is of paramount. It's incredible. So I think that was a good point. I think a couple of these speakers made the point, Willie Robertson for one, that God put him in this place, and you're just touching the surface. You're just griping, and the mainstream media just is always in a tizzy about really superficial things. He is trying to make better the fiber of the United States, who we are, what is going to happen in 20 years, 50 years. And it's huge. And we won't see that. Chris and I, we probably won't even see the culmination of that if we can,
I'll agree.
Get these things to stick. And,
I'll agree,
I think it's going to, for the first time in like 20 years, I feel more hopeful for my grandson that he's going to have a better life than I thought he would under Obama, for sure.
I just hope my grandkids don't get a hold of old Macball's episode and ask their father, who's that clown? Who's that clown with our last name, Dad? Is that my granddad?
I love it. They'll love it.
Other than that, I agree with you for the hope of my grandchildren. That's the only thing I'm worried about. No, I'm with you. And Leslie, it's something you said. Again, I don't think maybe this audience does. I think that the people that listen to this show and other conservative shows, Christian shows, do appreciate what's happening. But there are sure a lot of people that don't. And sadly, there are many Christians that don't. And look, this time of history, we better take advantage of it. And we better enjoy this and push for as much freedom. And this is lead me into our next subject, because he's correcting some things that need to have been corrected for decades.
Oh, absolutely.
And one of the things that he's addressing and these legislators are addressing is this gerrymandering. And the Dems opened up a Pandora's box by what they tried to do in Virginia. And the Republicans, lo and behold, I think it's miracle time to have a moment of silence that the Republicans got a spine.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
Other parts. And literally, they're doing it in Alabama. Alabama won today at the Supreme Court. Mississippi won today. They have been okayed. You could say bye-bye to Benny Thompson, who basically threatened the president when Trump was almost killed in Butler.
Yeah, he's a joke.
He's gone. Clyburn may be gone in South Carolina. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is likely gone in Florida. Alabama can say goodbye. And Leslie, let me say this up front. These racially bound districts were always unconstitutional. Nobody had the courage to do it, because to correct it, you would have been called a racist pig. And that's exactly what the left, that's all they've got tonight. And they're calling for insurrection, for civil war. You've got the jerk over in Tennessee, my state, Mr.
I heard
Johnson.
him.
Mr. Confederate Johnson with the afro.
Yeah.
And he looks like a fool. I
think he thinks he's he finds himself to be the next Jesse Jackson, I'm telling you.
Jesse Jackson,
that's what it reminds me. Yeah.
He's not. But what's your thoughts on all this? It's never been right to base the lines on race. It's all about population. That's why we have census. And according to the Constitution, our congressional makeup is about population, not race.
Well, and I think this goes back to the president's always 2 steps ahead. At probably a year ago, he was talking about doing the census, redoing that so to reflect all of these growing red states. And that was poo-pooed, going to do that in 25. That's wrong. I think this is another way that they all looked at the board. I have to believe it's a team, as Trump is the leader, and then say, hey, what can we do to make this fair? And I think this has been on the table for a long time, but just like everything else, nobody else had enough courage to do this. And for the first time, really, in a couple of months, you and I have talked about this off line a little bit too. I have some real hope in the midterms now with Congress.
Much more.
It might give us 20 more seats eventually. Are we still going to lose by 20? Maybe. But I think it's going to help a tremendous amount for that. And I hope, let them scream at the top of their lungs like the idiots they are. I mean, they look so stupid. Johnson did, and all of these guys, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Oh my gosh, how great would it be to make her go away?
You're making my point that I said the other night. When the Democrats are acting like this and screaming and cussing and fussing and throwing profanity on shows and dancing a jig like Johnson was doing in that church Sunday, embarrassing himself. By the way, folks, for those of you in the black community, I love you guys, but that was not the Holy Spirit that you saw Sunday. That was a demon spirit doing what caused Johnson to dance. He wasn't dancing to Christ. He was dancing about insurrection and civil war. So if I need to explain that to you, that's not godly. That's demonic. But anyway, no, when they're screaming and acting ugly, Leslie, it's a good day in America. It's Absolutely. A good day in America. That means we're doing something right. What you say about that?
That's what I was going to say. That means we're 100% on track.
And yes, we are.
All you need to check. And I'm sick of hearing about all this division in the Republican Party. I don't see it. I think there are, I call them wobblers, that they were probably wobbling anyway about, should we vote for Trump or, and all of this. I think they want to perpetuate that. I'm not sure what to do. Trump is this. I hope they give that a really good look. And all the minority, not only Black, but Hispanic and Jewish and all of these people that are being forced to identify by their color or creed. I would be so fed up with that. I really would be. It is outrageous.
Isn't it not racist in itself to put, and I want to say this to the black community tonight, you've got no greater friend in the universe than Christopher Wayne McDonald. We have nothing but respect for the black community and people, but I have no respect for the leadership of these race baiters and these demagogues that have hijacked that culture and hijacked this leadership of the people. And the late Jesse Jackson was one of the big ones. Sharpton is another one. This new crop, Benny Thompson, Clyburn, Maxine Waters, and the list could go on. And then this is the joke. This is the biggest joke in the world. My state of Tennessee, where Johnson was raising and acting the fool over, that district in Memphis, Leslie, and I know you've heard this already, but the reason that they're upset is that you've got a liberal Dem who's a white guy, an old white guy, Steve Cohen, 36 years. Yeah. He's going to be replaced by, guess what? A conservative black woman. So
I love that.
That is not racial issues, folks. It's about liberalism, conservatism, Marxism, capitalism. That's the line that's being drawn. It has nothing to do with race, even though they tell you it does. Correct, Ms. Millway?
Well, it shouldn't be, yeah. I mean, I think the Civil Rights Act is being, they're trying to manipulate that. I think it did what it was supposed to do at the time. I think that's wonderful, but I think they took it a step further and said, this is not right. You're still discriminating. Honestly, I mean, we're in white bread, Oklahoma, and we have black politicians. Our mayor of Tulsa is black. I just don't. I don't know. I don't see that in my day-to-day life.
I don't either.
If they didn't tell me about it, I wouldn't know about it. That's how I feel about it.
Leslie, you got Byron Donald, who they're some folks on this chat sometimes, a network that's not a big fan of Byron, but I asked them the question, well, who are you going to vote for? Mickey Mouse? I don't care. I think Byron Donald's going to be a great governor of Florida. But you've got him. He's one of the biggest states of the union is about to elect a black governor. And like you said, y'all got black leaders. It's not about the color of the skin. It's about the color of the heart. And while I'm at it, since we're on a late night MacFile Monday, we can say what we want to say now that it's Tuesday. But let me just put it to you like this. I'm sort of sick of the race baiting in our country, because if the black community wants a serious discussion about racism, I'm more than willing to give it to them. But it's not going to happen until they admit, and they won't admit this, that the racism is coming from their community just as much as they claim it's coming from ours. Because they won't say that. These leaders will never say that. They'll never admit that, will they?
Well, I mean, what else would they run on? Their policies stink, and, you know, everything about how they run the government into the ground and spend money they don't have. I mean, California's the poster child for bad.
Come on.
And, you know, how can you run on that? I pray that Steve Hilton, I do like Chad Bianco, and that would just be so wonderful if those two were at the top of the gubernatorial selection. I think it's probably going to be Tom Stiers and Steve Hilton. I pray to God these people get a clue in California. I mean, their state is burning, literally burning to the ground and destroyed. And, you know, I hope that happens. I really like Spencer Pratt. I didn't know much about him as the mayor of LA, but man, he has handed Karen Bass her, you know what, in a basket. I love it.
I would vote for Spencer Pratt for governor at this point. And, you know, this is the crazy thing about it. And I'm going to say this, and Greg Gutfeld said this Friday night after the debate. He said if the Los Angeles citizens, after watching that debate, vote for Bass or the other lady, and I can't think of her name, they deserve what they get. Yeah. They deserve what they get. They are being offered a change. And you know what? I was so proud of him. He did not just throw idle name calling like they did. All they did, they called him a mega Republican, and you're just acting too emotional about this, is what Bass was telling him. Well, you've got an emotional tie to this, so you can't understand my policies, which she couldn't explain her policies. Spencer Pratt was beating them on policy. He was telling the city of LA, I will fix this. You will not have these fires again, because we're going to put water in places that they should have had water in for 30 years. It's common sense, Elizabeth.
I know. That, and I mean, he made some great points, not just about the fire, but all the problems they've had rebuilding. 34 houses have been rebuilt, which is mind-blowing. We're a year and a half into this. And I mean, Kennedy, her house was burned down, and, you know, she's talked about that a lot. But Karen Bass was in Africa when all this is going down. Did she get on a plane? Because it lasted a week, if you remember, or more. And did she get on a plane and
she never came back? No.
Never came back. Her house was safe. I mean, the sheer audacity of these people to, I mean, don't you have some shame? I know if I'm telling a big whopper and I'm trying to pull it off, gosh, I would have some shame. These people are adamantly, and I know they don't believe it. I know they don't believe it.
Let me tell you why they don't. The people. They know, and this is what infuriated me Friday night watching this, and Greg Gutfeld was right on target. Despite everything we just said, that how Spencer Pratt handled himself, and he would be the greatest mayor LA has seen in 40 years or 50 years, Leslie, I'm not sure the people of California have had enough yet. And we got Lori Mills coming up here next Monday night, and she's right in the middle of this. And, you know, they have witnessed these. I have seen this over and over. We've seen this play out for nearly 4 decades, going back before Reagan. And the only time that California was right was when it had Republican leadership at governor.
Yeah.
And these cities had Republican mayors. And that's been a fly in the pan for 40 years. John Quallen, I'm sure, would say amen to this. But this is the kicker. As wonderful as he did Friday night, Gutfeld was square on. With the media behind Bass, lying for her and covering for her, and people just hate Trump because that's how they're trying to do it. They're trying to tie Spencer Pratt into Trump. Spencer Pratt is no Trump fan. I think he's
No.
conservative, but he's not a Trump cheerleader. They can't hang it on him, but they're going to try to do this. I think people are, and I say this with all due respect, but the electorate is not fed up yet. I don't think
Yeah.
enough of this. And that's why I'm very concerned that these people that we watched on that stage Friday night act like a bunch of clowns are going to get back in power. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope I'm wrong.
I mean, who are you going to believe, me or your lion eyes? I mean, Karen Bass sat there and said, I want illegal aliens to vote and have health care that's paid for by the state. I don't know. I mean, she drew a picture of herself and her beliefs. And that's the one thing I love about Spencer Pratt. Yes, he's passionate, but he brings the receipts. He tells it like it is. This is why this happened. We didn't do forestry. This is why this is this way. The permits. I mean, he was so prepared for that.
No, he nailed it.
You know, I wonder if he is really that knowledgeable, or this whole fire thing just sent him off the rails. I have to believe he has a very conservative view, though, or all of these things wouldn't just roll off his tongue so easily. I believe he is probably secret conservative, and
well,
maybe that'll come out. I hope it does.
But you know what I see him as? And I'm not saying this to praise Arnold Schwarzenegger, but, you know, when Gray Davis got elected, things got so bad in the state that it's just wild that we had a recall that actually worked. And the Democrats lost that election to Schwarzenegger. And for whatever issue people have with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he actually did not do that bad a job in California. He didn't help a lot, but
he was better than the alternative.
He was better than the alternative. So at the very minimum, to the Los Angelinos out there tonight, if you don't feel that you want your house burning down again, because Leslie, I believe in my heart of hearts, you know, and Grant Patillo's out there tonight. He's making a great point out there in the chat. Look at Hawaii. Look at Hawaii. Nothing has been hardly done in 2 years since all those fires in Hawaii, or 3, or however long it's been. And now Bass is not offering any solutions to fixing the problems that caused those fires to begin with. And a lot of it was the management of timber, not having reserves of water ready to go in case of an emergency. That's management. That's leadership.
Absolutely.
And to the Los Angelinos,
that's a no-brainer to me.
That's a no-brainer. And if Spencer Pratt, by the way, if he's just promising that, he's already broke even in my book as a good leader, right?
Well, you know, I'm very impressed. I missed that show, whatever it was, The Hills or whatever. I was busy raising kids when that was on. I hardly knew it, so I didn't know him a lot. But boy, I have grown to really appreciate he's got a very forthcoming nature, and I think that's very appealing. I hope they get it. I'm kind of confident for Steve Hilton. I think as we come down to the wire, I think he's going to do pretty well. I'm praying.
I think people are not going to want to listen. And I listened to Steyer on that stage. He had no ideas. He had no policy.
Gosh.
All he did was regurgitate a Democrat talking point. Leslie, at some point, and we'll talk about this in general, and then I'm going to move on to Comey a little bit. But at some point, I think the electorate, even in California, I think they're tired of listening to the same thing every 4 years. Trump's bad. Republicans are bad. Conservatism is bad. Illegals are great. Marxism is great. transgender boys in girls' locker rooms are great. I think people are tired of the rhetoric. And Steve Hilton has stood toe to toe in those debates with everybody. And I think, in my opinion, the other Republican candidate would be wise. One of them need to get out
I
and throw their
agree.
support behind the other one. Steve Hilton's a front runner. And I think the sheriff, and as much as I like him, I would love to see a Hilton contest with him and it come down to them too. But with Smallwell out, I mean, it's probably not going to happen. And we're going to talk with Laura Mills about
No.
this next week. Somebody's going to have to take one for the team and for the betterment of California. Have one Republican candidate and the state coalesce. But let me tell you what's going to happen. Our dear friend Rachel Ham ran for Secretary of State about 4 years ago, and she told me that the establishment Republicans out in California are worse than the Dems. She could
Oh
not get any
man.
support, and I think that is where it's going to come down to: is if can Hilton get the Republicans to support him? Because if
Yeah.
he can do that, he's got a very good shot of being the next governor of California. But if he doesn't get them to support him, Leslie, it's going to be an uphill climb. And Tom Steyer, if y'all think Gavin Newsom was bad,
Oh
good
gosh.
grief. Good
I
grief.
I know. I mean, they're socialists. They're
They're
socialists.
socialists,
And
communists, whatever you call
I
them.
mean, and let's face it, California is being run like a socialist state. People that have no business voting that are illegal, they get health care, they get free phones, they get everything they need to make their life more comfortable while they have the largest homeless population in the world on the streets of LA. So, in any first world country. So I don't want to hear about that. I love what Spencer Pratt said. No, these people don't need more counselors and social workers. They
I heard
need. I
that.
mean,
I love it.
that is
Yes.
that is so. I mean, so true, and they're so ridiculous to act like that solves any problem when somebody is high on, like he said, super meth and fentanyl.
He was
Um,
he was letting it
he
all hang out, wasn't he? I loved it.
Oh
I
my
loved it. I was
gosh.
like, man, this man's got some guts. And I like
He
people with
does.
guts. I just do. I like people with courage that stand up and speak what they need to speak.
Truth. Yeah, absolutely. And
Well,
yeah, whether or not people will listen, that's the $64,000 question. But I'm rooting for him. I
I'm rooting
really
for him
am.
too. Well, if worse comes to worse, McDonald will pull up stakes. Hey, it's been done before. I can go out there a month before the election. I turn it
Well,
up. I turn it
hey.
upside down and run for governor and mayor, and throw my hat in the ring. I mean, with the way elections are and all this fraud going on, I mean, I guess I could, get in on a write-in ballot and see what I could do to mix things up.
Hey,
But
it's California, absolutely.
I can tell you this: McDonald is never getting into politics because I would. There's
No.
reasons why I won't ever get into politics, but anyway, hey, good stuff, and I'm with you. I'm hoping that the Los Angelinos will see the light and go a different direction. We'll see. But if they don't,
Yeah,
Leslie,
yeah.
they deserve what they get. They just do.
That's true. That's true.
And I'm not going to say anything else about that. And look, I want to tell the Californians we got a lot of dear people. John Quallen's one, and others are out there that live in California, and we love them. And for their sake, I hope the state votes right. I do. I really do. Because they deserve it. They've been under this rule.
Well, you've got to stand up and
Ricky
fix
Wilson
it.
and others.
You have to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Other thing I want to talk to you about tonight is Jim Comey went on MS Now tonight and gave an interview. And it seems that the 8647 thing, the threatening the president, is about his daughter. He is upset that Trump fired his daughter from the DOJ, and it's an axe to grind. He as good as admitted that tonight on air. But the other story about Comey is the DOJ was out there saying over the weekend that it's more than just a seashell thing. That's what the media is trying to make it out to be. But they have other stuff, and I've heard tonight that he may be indicted again, that there may be another
Gosh, that'd be
indictment
so
coming
great.
this week. And I just We call this poetic justice. Is all we got to say.
We do.
It's poetic justice.
And you know, it's the journey, not the end. So enjoy yourself, James Comey. I hope you spend every dollar that you ever made, even though you were corrupt, on getting legal counsel. I hope your friends have deep pockets. Good luck with that. I hope you enjoy the next 2 years of your life, because you're going to need it. So I love it. I mean, it's justice. And even the fact that he's in this position makes me proud of our DOJ.
Yeah, I'm with you, our DOJ. Anyway, what do you think? You think that what's the chances of him being convicted? High or low?
I think it's low. That's why I have to hang my hat on the journey, because I don't know. I guess it depends, obviously, where the trial happens, what happens. If it is in a more conservative place, there's a possibility. I think, and especially in red states, people have a tendency to understand more because they're given more true information. I mean, Virginia's become like this. They're just in la la land. It's like California. These people wouldn't know the truth if it raised up and bit them. You know, they just don't know it, and they don't want to hear it.
Yeah. What is your going back to the gerrymandering thing? What is your take on the claim that the blacks are going to be disenfranchised if this happens? Leslie, I do not know any black that has ever been disenfranchised. If the blacks are not going to the polls to vote, that's their fault. There has not been any effort whatsoever to quelch a black vote. I don't think there's been any effort to quelch anybody's vote. But it just seems that every time that when the Dems do it, all of a sudden it's wonderful. It's democracy. We're fighting for freedom and we're fighting for everybody. The Republicans get these racially charged demographics off, and it becomes a race thing. And I want to just talk to you for a minute or two. I don't want to harp on this tonight, but where does that is the media behind this narrative, or is it coming from other areas other than the media? Is our leaders? Where do people get this stuff in their head from?
You know, I do think that's the only thing they really have to hang their hat on right now. Everything else is in such disarray. I'm with you. I work with people that are black. I don't even think of it. You know, Hispanic. It doesn't even cross my mind. Hey, you're this or you're that, and I don't think it does for them too. Who are the people that are trying to intimidate people at voting polls? It's always a Democrat. It's always a radical, psycho, left winger. Take Minnesota. I mean, they weren't voting, but these are the people, this 2 or 3 or 5% of just absolutely psychotic idiots. They're the ones that are trying to intimidate people at the polls. I do believe there are people on the left that try to intimidate people on the left for their voting. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. And whether or not people really see that, I don't know. I don't know if, especially the older black population. I have a lady I work with, and she's not my age quite, but she's closer. And she and I had a really serious talk one day, and I just asked her, do you feel like you were ever discriminated against? She said, absolutely. I have been many times. This is a very educated master's degree lady. And I said, but let me say one thing to you. As a white young female, I was discriminated against. And, you know, this was in the days when men popped you on the rear when you walked by or did a lot worse to you. And there was no justice for that group, not even white, just female. So I said, I just don't see that as a huge thing. And she said, well, it's not a huge thing, but there's still racists out there. And I said, honey, there will always be people that discriminate against, whether you're white, black, or in between. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be your 2 or 3 or 5% of psychos on both sides. That's just life. And that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. Hey, one final thing tonight. This is breaking, and I saw something online tonight, and I was wondering, what is this about? It seems that a group of entrepreneurs built a golden statue of President Trump and Pastor Mark Burns. They didn't build it at the White House. They built it at the Doral Miami Golf Course. And you know, Leslie, when I go to a baseball game, and me and your baseball people, Bobby Cox died,
Yep.
One of the greatest managers in the world. And if you go to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, you will see bronze statues of managers and players and Hall of Famers all over the place. And I am watching the Christians lose their lunch. Mark Burns, all he did was pray over the statue. He wasn't bowing to the statue, worshiping the statue. Trump didn't build the statue. Why is it that why is it that stuff triggers us like it does on the right, and we want to call Trump the Antichrist when he himself, he's trying to rededicate the nation to God Sunday? You know, he's not building statutes to Baal, and people are losing their lunch, and this trash tabloid journalist, and I don't want to say the name tonight, it's nothing but the National Enquirer, and I have no respect whatsoever. It's just a trash piece of trash. That's all it is. Trash magazine. Basically, you know, is making issues with Burns about him defending his prayer. Is it fair enough to say that we as Christians probably need to pray for President Trump? And if you don't like the statue, just walk around it. You don't have to look at it. But he's not telling anybody to bow down and worship it, is he?
You know, I'm pretty sure I have a picture of myself in front of a bronze statue of Craig Biggio, Jeff Bagwell, both, and we have a place here in Tulsa, Greenwood, the Greenwood area, where, you know, that was the Black Wall Street, burned down in the 1920s. It was a horrible thing. We also have an MLK statue there that I'm pretty sure I have a picture in front of too. So, gee, what does that make me? I just think it's really awesome when we go to the trouble to dedicate to somebody, no matter what their side, if they've made a great contribution to something, either sport or politics, or, I mean, that is so ridiculous. That is so ridiculous.
The way I look at it is this. They got triggered over the image of him as a doctor. He wasn't Jesus. They get triggered over his tweets. They get triggered over now this. Everything that happens. And if Trump was doing this, if Trump was out there building these things or he didn't make the image. He didn't make the statue. Somebody else did that. And all Burns was doing, and I've met Mark, and I met him a few years ago at an event, and Mark's Mark, and I get him, and I mean, it's just Mark Burns, and, you know, he's part of that mega pastoral group, and that's Mark Burns. It's his prerogative, and him laying hands on that statue was not an act of idolatry. He was praying for the president.
I know.
He was praying for the president. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
You know, it's like saying there's huge division. I like Harry Enton said the other day, folks, do you really think all of those supporters, 94% of the people that supported Trump 2 years ago support him today? I mean, that's how off they are. They have such hatred, and thank you, God, I don't really have that kind of hatred that I can understand how you can manipulate the words or actions and make it always bad. I mean, that's amazing to me. The hatred these people have. I saw George Conway the other day. I was just like, how in the world Michael Still, are these people just so desperate to get some attention that they
Yes.
have
No,
to do that?
they are.
I mean,
that's what they
they're
are.
so relevantly worthless.
That's what they are.
I'm like, where is this hatred, this angst of just to the point it's destroying their lives? I mean, I think you and I could have easily said we probably had moments when Biden was in power. I mean, you and I were smart enough to know he obviously was not running the country, but we had angst for that, but not like that.
But listen, the people that are screaming the loudest tonight about Trump on the right, I didn't hear any of this. I didn't hear any of this when Joe Biden was in office. I didn't hear any complaints about the baby killing. I didn't hear any complaints about we had a transgender health secretary who couldn't even figure out whether he was a man or a woman. I didn't hear anybody post any pictures about that. I didn't see people calling for. Again, you had a mental patient. You literally had a mental patient that should have been in a nursing home. And I mean no disrespect by this. I prayed for Joe Biden. I even told my people to pray for Joe Biden. They can tell you I did out here every night. But he was in a mentally decapitated state, running the country one breath away. And had we had a conflict of any sort, who knows where this country would be? I didn't see any of this uproar coming from the right like I do tonight about Trump. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to say this. It's going to sound very spiritual, and it needs to sound spiritual. God gives us what we want ultimately. And these people are going to rue the day when this country is gone and we have no freedom. They've outlawed Christianity. They're going to outlaw these rag magazines and these rogue channels that think they're God and think they're the judge, jury, and executioner of the body of Christ tonight. There ain't going to be no body of Christ. They're all going to be dead or in jail. And then I wonder where they're going to look back and say, well, maybe we should have been praying more about the country and be a little bit more worried about the state of this uprising of Islam and the uprising of the communists among us instead of worrying about a freaking statue.
I know.
I'm sorry.
It's outrageous.
It's a late night rant.
It's outrageous, and I mean that shows you too how I think people can be manipulated, even on the right. I'll give you an example of how I mean this. Whenever the Russiagate thing was going on, and what was the first thing you thought of? Because of course we didn't know Trump very well. First year in office. They tell us about the PP tape and all of this stuff. And I don't know about you, but my first inclination was, oh my goodness, what if that is true? I mean, how horrible. And then you have to regroup and you have to look at the source and you have to look for your own facts at different places and different sites and talk to different people. But I'm telling you, Chris, not everybody does that. Even people on the right. They take what the media tells them and spits at them. And, Fox was even reporting it. They weren't reporting it as fact, but they were reporting that this happened and he's accused of this and then he's indicted a gazillion times. I mean, what does a normal person have to do? They have to do their homework, and people won't do that. Not everyone will do that.
I think, again, we're going to appreciate these 4 years.
I do too.
I think we're going to realize when all this is done, Leslie, and the next leader comes into power, because there's going to be another leader in 2.5 years, and America will choose. And we can choose to keep going down this path, or we can choose to stay on a godly path that President Trump is, I believe, sincerely trying his best to keep us on. But if we don't want to take it, God's not going to force us. He's just not.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what he's going to do. I tell you a great example. I believe, and again, I want to just say this to these people that are making a big deal about this. You can call this idolatry all you want to. You don't have a clue what idolatry is. When the children of Israel worshiped that golden calf, Moses got so angry that he bust that golden calf up and he made them drink that calf in water and killed 250,000 of them, basically.
Yeah.
That's what it did. And I know that the first time that Trump ran, I do believe that there were some Christians, that did idolize him. I've not seen that the second time around. I have seen people understand that we made a mistake by putting him on a pedestal. And I think that there has been a sincere effort afoot to pray for the man that he makes godly decisions. And I can just tell everybody out there tonight, President Trump is not going to make every right decision. He's human.
No.
He puts his pants on, just like Chris McDonald does. He puts his shirt on and his suit on, just like Chris McDonald does, and just like every one of you do. And this is what infuriates me to no end. We continue to expect him to live to a standard that these same stone throwers and these same idolaters of their own ideology and their own smugness and their own pride can never live up to, Leslie. They fell short just like Donald Trump does, but yet they judge him in a way that they would not judge the worst of the worst, but they hold him to that standard. That is what blows me away. I do not understand that.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate description of that?
Yeah.
Am I right on that?
Absolutely, absolutely, and there may have been some worship going on there in that first part. I think we were also mesmerized by his ability to speak truth and not kowtow, and going through all of these things. And I remember him going to get his mug shot in Georgia, and that plane landing and him being there 30 minutes, and I just remember the defiance, and I thought, hey, man, whether, this man is for us. Why do you think he's going through this? He is doing that for this country, his country, and for the people. I truly believe he loves his country above all else. And
Grant Patillo says something. I'll read his comment. He's absolutely correct, and I think he says it best. He says the majority of conservatives are not happy unless they're miserable. And that is an absolutely spot on comment, Grant. No, I mean it. I think that he's right, and I see it. And I think the other thing is that it's the daddy issues, it's attention, it's clickbait. If they're not getting the clickbait and they're not getting the attention that they didn't get from the daddy, and they didn't get from their peers and their sisters and their moms and their spouses and things like that. And I'm not trying to demean those kind of issues, but let me tell you something, Leslie. We got a country that is on the brink of being taken over by one of the most sinister forces in the universe, with the Islamic caliphates and the Islamic spirit and the spirit of Islam, and you add on to that the Marxists and the fascists and the communists that are salivating to get into power. And look at New York. Look at what's happening in New York and Paterson, New Jersey, and Dearborn, Michigan, and other states and nations and cities. Look at London. Well, you can't preach. You realize if you pass out a tract and quote John 3:16, you're going to jail in London tonight. That's what's coming here.
Oh, I know. Well, I hope people wake up enough and we keep electing people that are godly and, have common sense. That's what's so appealing about Spencer Pratt. He has common sense. It's like Donald Trump. You're listening to him. Think about listening to him 10 years ago. You're like, gosh, this man makes sense. He's lived life. He's lived a great life. He's had great wealth. Great things have happened to him. Why? Because he has common sense. He can read people, and he's able to formulate plans and think ahead. I mean, this is not what's on the politicians' minds on the left. They're just thinking how they can still stay in power.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't care about people. They do not care about people.
Well, look, from George Washington to Donald Trump, we have never had a perfect president, and we never will.
Nope.
The only thing that separates the presidents over history, Leslie, in my opinion, we've not had many godly ones. I consider George Washington, he was a godly man. I think Abraham Lincoln was a godly man. I think Teddy Roosevelt ruled the country godly. I think that Harry Truman, despite all of his issues, there was something in Harry Truman's heart that God touched to support the nation of Israel's reformation in 1948. That was God divinely ordaining a man that was imperfect to do something righteous.
Amen. Amen.
I believe Dwight Eisenhower had faith. I believe that, and I know people are going to say you're crazy, I think Richard Nixon was not as bad. Richard Nixon has been excoriated in the history books. But there was something about Nixon that he recognized Israel. He was a staunch supporter during that 6-day war, the Yom Kippur War, 73. He gave Golda Meir anything she needed. And then you have Reagan. And you look, say what you want to about Bush Jr. I think there was a part of Bush Jr., even though that he had that family behind him that was as demonic as could be, I think at the beginning, I would have thank God we had him at the helm instead of Gore on 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
And I hear this all the time of how bad Bush Jr. was. Well, would you have rather had Al Gore? Would you have rather had Al Gore leading the country? He'd have given the country to the Afghanis.
I think God has had his divine hand on us in many situations. I really couldn't understand in 2020 when everything went down, because I'm like you. I'm just like, there's just no way this man was elected. He's ahead, and you go to bed, and all of a sudden he loses when you get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And all of those things. But God truly, if you don't believe how God incredibly blesses the U.S., and then you look at 2020 and 2024, a time such as this, God saved Trump for us again.
I do. And again, Trump, though not perfect, he has led the country as godly as any president I can know that I've known in my lifetime. He's not going to make everything right. He can't fix this country, Leslie. We've got to fix it. That's the other thing I think people forget. If this country's going to get fixed, it's going to be fixed by we the people. It's not going to be fixed by one man over 4 years or 8 years. He's just one man. But this is the craziness about both sides. It's just the derangement syndrome. And it's like I've never seen anybody be as hated on both sides of the aisle. That means we got the right guy.
Absolutely.
I want to play a clip. Ted Turner, the late Ted Turner now. Got to play this for you. I'm going to get you to chime in on it, and then I'll wrap us up tonight. Listen to this.
Tell me if you agree with this statement. In my opinion, the greatest enemies America has ever had,
posing a greater threat to our way of life than Nazi Germany or Tojo's Japan, are the 3 television networks and the people that run them, who are living amongst us and constantly tearing down everything that has made this country great. And what are they doing it for? For a handful of dollars.
Let me tell you something. It's not just the media. It's not just 3 networks, Leslie. It's everybody that tears this country down. It's everybody that's doing that. That statement was made in 1986. That's 40 years ago. This month, actually, May of 1986. He said that 40 years ago. And Ted Turner was as liberal as they come. But on that statement, Ted Turner was a prophet. Ted Turner was a prophet. Because he was right.
He had a vision.
That's why he formed TBS, wasn't it?
Yeah. And, CNN from that,
we don't have to talk about CNN.
Well, they always had a bend to the left. There's no question.
Absolutely. No, they did.
Blitzer and everybody, Christine Yamapour, whatever her name is, they've all had a left bend. But so does CBS, so does Leslie Stahl, and you know, the whole 60 Minutes team, I mean, they're a joke. They're a joke. And I would love to know who's still listening to that or watching that. They'll try to, I mean, they were trying to railroad Benjamin Netanyahu last night.
I saw that.
You're
I saw
this,
that.
you know, you and Trump are in cahoots and you're all planning this together, right? I think Trump kind of called him on the carpet today. He said, no, that is not the way it is happening. I am working on behalf of the U.S. He is working on behalf of Israel.
As they
and
should
they do
be.
not always meet. Absolutely.
As they should be. And I think that Trump recognizes, though, that without Bibi, our job in the Middle East gets a lot harder. And I think Bibi recognizes that without the United States, his job gets a lot harder. We're connected at the hip, Leslie, for a reason. God has brought these two countries together for a reason. And look, we are in a time that if we don't destroy fascism, nobody is. I'm sorry.
No.
What Trump is doing in Iran, I had a lunch with a dear friend of mine Thursday over in Pensacola, and we talked about this very thing. He asked me how I felt about Iran, and I told him, I said, Randy, I said, if Trump doesn't do this, there will be no president in the future that will do it. If we don't do it now, and we don't take this regime down now, they are only going to get 10 million times stronger later. And I'm not so sure that even taking them down now that they're not going to come back, Leslie, because Bible prophecy tells us that they're going to be a player in these last days.
Yeah.
They're going to be a player in these last days.
But hey, if we can knock it down 50 years or whatever for
at least for a season.
Future generations.
At least for a season.
And that's the thing too. If that doesn't tell you anything, that you've got all of these Arab nations that are willing to help you take them down, that just screams to me of, we're afraid of them too. They are off the rails. They can't be reasoned with. They are jihadists. And I think the fact UAE, man, that was a real wake up. I mean, it really confirmed what I thought about how these other countries feel about them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're off the rocker. They're off their rocker. I mean, there's no question.
Well, listen, I'm going to get you back on next week. It may not be Monday night, but we're going to have another late show together. I will talk about Margie Taylor Greene next week, but I do 1 minute response. What was your thoughts when you found out today that she sold her Georgia home, has moved to Costa Rica now with her live-in fiance, I guess, her little boy toy, and now is claiming that she moved to Costa Rica out of fear of Donald Trump? I'm sorry, I'm telling you, as Miller would say, Chris, you cannot make this stuff up. He says that to me every day that he talks to me. You cannot make this stuff up, and you can't.
No, I don't know what her motive is. I think she may perceive herself as threatened. I don't know if it's from Trump. Maybe it's from people that support Trump. I don't know. She just made such a 180. What's going on in that blonde brain of hers? I have no idea.
Maybe it wasn't 180, Leslie. Maybe she was like this all along, and she wrote.
Maybe
it wasn't.
I know.
I don't think it was 180.
I don't know. Maybe her true. It's like George Conway and some of these other people. Maybe their true who they are is coming out. I think Trump shut her down on wanting a cabinet position,
Senate.
or
he wouldn't endorse her to the Senate.
He wouldn't support her.
And
he probably knew a lot more about her than we did.
I think in hindsight, he saw everything we're seeing right now, and he picked up on it. And you mentioned it at the very start of this show tonight. He's been 3 steps ahead of everything. And is it fair enough to say tonight, and I've been a little animated about it, but is it fair enough to say that Trump's pretty much been right on most things that he has told the country, and he said, and he's basically pushed? He's not been right on everything, but I would say about 95% of everything that Trump has said has turned out to be true.
That's a conversation you and I had when this war first started. I said, I have to support this because, one, it needs to be done, but most importantly, our president never let me down.
He's never let us down.
He makes the right decisions. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. Has he veered wrong or said something that was so inappropriate? Yes, he has. But with his ego comes incredible knowledge that helps us, and you got to take that with all the greatness, and you have to overlook some of the narcissism, because I've never met a politician that wasn't a narcissist.
Well, let me just say this. If the people out there believe Joe Biden got 81 million votes in 2020, I've got some swampland down in Tennessee down here. We don't have swamps. So I've got some swampland that I'd be more than willing to sell you if you're willing to believe that Joe Biden, that's more than Obama, that's more than Clinton, that's more than Trump the first time. Leslie, I mean, there is no way
not that many people
81
voted.
million people, not that many people vote. But they want us to believe that he was the most popular president in 2020. That's another discussion for another time. But people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, to me, they're nothing but political frauds. And I got another term that they are, but I can't use that term that I want to tonight. But let's just say this. They sell themselves to the highest bidder. And I think that she, somewhere along this road, she came in as an American first, Trump's great candidate. That's the only way she may have been able to get elected in Georgia. But when she saw that she couldn't manipulate Trump, then her true colors came out. That is my take on it. I may be totally wrong.
I think that's a good word. I think I think she's very manipulative. I've seen her on interviews, and maybe, she's smart enough to say, "Man, I went too far. I need to get away from this situation." Think about it. There's probably a bunch of people that really can't stand her and let her know it every day.
I know, but she did. She got away from it, Bill Wee. She went to Costa Rica. She went to Costa Rica.
And you know what I say? God bless you. Enjoy your third world country. I have nothing against Costa Rica, but it's not everything that it's cracked up to be as the honeymoon region of the world. I'm telling you, enjoy. I hope she prospers, and God love her.
I'm actually surprised, and I'll let you go on this, that she didn't wind up on The View or some kind of left-wing network.
I know.
Because I really thought that was in the works. And maybe she turned it down. I don't know. Listen, buddy, it's been such a great conversation again tonight. And I just want to tell folks, me and Miss Leslie, we're going to be we're making audio copies of these shows, and we're posting them on Podbean. And because we're on Podbean, we're automatically on Spotify. And on Spotify, you're going to see us here probably in the next month or so. We're going to have these shows that we do together uploaded in one place called the Mac and Millwee Show. Is that how we decided tonight? The Mac and Mill? The Mac and Mill. That's a pretty good, that's a great name, the Mac and Mill Show. And, but the M&M Show, I like the M&M Show, something like that. But we're going to have this on audio, and it's going to be fun. And there may be some times we do an audio version, we can't do the video version, and vice versa. But we'll let you know about that. That's in the works, and we're praying about that. Leslie, I appreciate you being with me tonight. And
you bet.
Final thought?
Always
Any final thought
pleasure.
before I let you go, hon? I know it's late. Any final thought?
I just think we've covered so much and solved some of the world's problems, and I feel better. How about you?
I feel great. I do want to say this. We're baseball fans, and we want to say rest in peace, Bobby Cox, one of the greatest managers in the history of the Atlanta Braves and baseball in general. And I have been laughing so hard the last 48 hours, not in him dying, but watching those videos of him being thrown out of games. He was the most ejected umpire. 132 times he got ejected.
Oh my gosh, he was
the most in Major League Baseball history. No, he was passionate.
As an Astros fan, the one thing I remember about watching him is he was so passionate for his players, and I loved that. I mean, he would go to the mat and fight for them, whether they had, hit by a pitch or anything. He was behind him 110%. And I always think of that when I think of him. So those are good memories.
Well, and a lot of those ejections were because of that, because he was standing up for his players. But one thing I'll leave you on, he did an interview with an Atlanta TV station. It was right after he had stepped down, and he had been gone from the game a few years, and they brought him in to see how he was doing right before the stroke. He had a stroke back in 2018, or 2020 actually, right before the Braves won the World Series in 21. And they asked him what his greatest accomplishment was, greatest disappointment. And, the greatest accomplishment was the 95 World Series, of course. And, the Braves winning it all. And they said, well, what's your greatest disappointment? And he looked at his wife and he said, one day me and Pam sat down and figured up all the money that I had to pay Major League Baseball on those ejections. And if we figured we could have built two houses, I could have built two houses for her on the money I had to pay for getting ejected from all those games through the years, and I just busted out laughing. That was Bobby Collins.
Well,
that was Bobby Collins.
He was a treasure.
He was a treasure. He is. Buddy, God bless you. You're a treasure too. Have a good night out there, and we'll see you. God bless.
Okay,
good night.
Take care.
Thank you, Leslie. Leslie Midway, everybody. Put some fire in that house fire. That was it was some good stuff. Now I've kept you till 1 o'clock. It's 6 minutes, so I'm going to keep you to 1. I might as well just keep you 6 more minutes if that's all right with you. We'll talk a few things here with you tonight. Good to see Jason Rankin in the house, my dear buddy, up in Dayton, Ohio. Good to see everybody. Good to see John. John, yep, the last Republican governor was Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is very true. And Grant says, bring back the governor. Bring back the governor. Deanna Salem says, Winsome Sears should have been the Virginia governor. It's a weird situation, Dan. I'm with you, and it's crazy. She was a black lady, very conservative, and that should tell people that this is not about race. And Spooneyberger beat her by 12, 13, 14 points. And folks, when you lose an election like that, that's not stolen. I hate to tell you, that's not stolen. That's not a stolen election. The people didn't want Winsome Sears as their governor. And I think Glenn Youngkin did an outstanding job for Virginia the 4 years he was there. Or 8 years, actually. I think it was 8. Maybe one back-to-back. I don't know. But I can't put my head around that, Deanna. That should tell the nation this evening, or now early morning of Tuesday, this is not about race. It's not about race. The thing in Memphis, Tennessee is not about race. They're going to have the people in Memphis that are screaming the loudest tonight that they're being disenfranchised are going to be represented, and Memphis is about 80-20 black. They're going to be represented by a black Republican, a woman. They should be happy about it. They should be dancing. That's what Johnson, that Theodore Johnson or whatever his name is, should be dancing about in the Holy Ghost. He was claiming he was dancing in the Spirit Sunday, calling for insurrection and civil war. But anyway, now that's what he should be happy about. But it's not. It's not what he's happy about. Anyway, if you got any questions, put them in the house. I got a few things I'm going to show you here before we leave you tonight. We'll pick the rest of this up tomorrow. This is the special report tonight about Iran. Roll the tape.
Sources confirmed to Fox News' Brett Baer, reporting from the Wall Street Journal, that forces from the United Arab Emirates are carrying out military strikes inside Iran. Fox is told that the UAE forces are directly engaged inside the Islamic Republic and have been for several days. This comes after Iran launched dozens of missiles and drones at the UAE during the conflict.
And that was earlier tonight. This is something we're going to follow. It's only on X, and this was by American Pulse News, but it caught my attention, and I'm going to chime with James Akers will be with us tomorrow night, probably. Magdalene Rose may be back with us tomorrow night. We're going to try to get Brad Johnson or Eric Caron on this week. But disgraced former Vice President Mike Pence, his name has popped up in all these investigations. And the top 8, Olivia Troy and Mark Short, have evidently are in serious legal trouble after being criminally implicated in the classified documents espionage case involving John Bolton. Pence is accused of being the main White House leaker during Trump's first term, using his staff to leak top-secret information he thought would hurt Trump in the mainstream media, which now has them all facing potential Espionage Act violations. The fly was right all along. There were rats and moles deep inside Trump's inner circle the whole time. This is more proof the swamp never stopped trying to destroy Trump from within, and they have not stopped tonight. And that is from the American Pulse News. It was 8 hours ago. We're going to follow that. Mark Kelly, the general, is under siege tonight because he evidently has been leaking classified information to the press. This is that story. Roll the tape.
Every single day that the Trump administration takes on Mark Kelly is a good day for the Kelly potential presidential campaign. He goes up in stock, not just in money, but also people paying attention to this.
Well, I'm glad we have an admission of what's going on here. Mark Kelly's partisan interests are what's most important. This man is a United States senator. He's getting classified briefings from the Pentagon, and then he goes on television and tells our enemies around the world in great specificity which weapons systems are depleted, which need to be restocked. Setting aside the legal issues, which I'm with Molly, I'm not a lawyer either, and I don't know what the future of that holds. Did he ever stop to ask himself, what is in the best interests of the United States of America and not just my own political future? Because it's obvious that he did not. A sitting senator going on television and telegraphing to our enemies and our threats around the world what we may or may not have, it's extraordinarily irresponsible. But let's not let that get in the way of a presidential campaign.
Well, I mean, Scott, but to Molly's point, could you not say, I mean, if Hegseth was legitimately interested, most interested in national security, he easily could have lost this investigation and not said anything about it, right?
Well, I mean, it's already out in the open when Kelly goes on television.
Right, but he's now elevated what Kelly said, right?
I think everybody heard it. It was on.
And if the defense secretary is in fact acknowledging and saying, well, he revealed classified information here, he is confirming publicly what Molly said he is doing.
So the options here would be to ignore it or to lie about it?
No, the option would be to investigate and not tell the press.
Look.
That's rich. Investigate it, not tell the press. That's coming from CNN. And I want to just say this. Ted Turner passed away. Ted Turner and Bobby Cox, all tied to the Braves, by the way. Ted Turner was the owner of the Braves for 20 years. But that network right there was his brainchild. CNN and WTBS. And CNN has been the absolute cancer. It has been a cancer on the soil of this nation for about the same length of time, for 40 years. Because they came, I think it was 82 when they began, 83. That's Ted Turner's legacy. And what I think he was hoping to do did not come to fruition. But they have tried their best to tear this nation down. I want to read this, and we're going to talk about a lot of this tomorrow night. We got a lot of other things to talk about. Here's James Comey. Let me do this first, and then I'm going to read you something about Billy Bob Thornton, and we're going to wrap it up tonight. If you got a question?
Was a superstar prosecutor in the Southern District of New York and was fired only because she has my last name. That's stupid. That's immoral. That's illegal in my view.
It's not illegal. You can fire and hire who you want to, Jim. Hate to tell you, you're not the boss. She wasn't the boss. She wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. They fired her. This is what all this is about. He just admitted it tonight on MS Now.
Only because she has my last name. That's stupid. That's immoral. That's illegal in my view and painful. She'll be okay. I mean, she got a job at a law firm, and someday I hope she'll go back to the Department of Justice.
She won't be going back to the Department of Justice unless you get a Democrat leader in the House, and God help us if that happens. So, Billy Bob Thornton, who is an actor, he's not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination. He said this tonight, and I'll just read it. What's that? Landman. It's about the oil industry. He's been famously, he's the actor of that series. But he says, let's be honest, Donald Trump is a tough man. He can be brash. Yes, he can. He can be outspoken. Yes, he can. He's unapologetic. Yes, he is. But no one has fought harder for the heart and soul of America in my lifetime. Now, that may be a meme, that may be a AI, it could be, maybe he said it, maybe he didn't. But the sentiment, I totally agree with. You can put my picture on there. I wear my cowboy hat a little better than Billy Bob wears his, I guess. Maybe not. His probably a lot more expensive than mine. Eddie Cole gave me this one. But the statement is how I want to leave you tonight, folks. You ain't got to like Trump's personality. You don't have to like his brashness. You don't have to like his outspokenness. Chris is outspoken. You don't have to like him being unapologetic. Sometimes Chris is unapologetic. Sometimes I can be brash, passionate, fired up, quiet. Sometimes I just let it all hang out and not care what people think or say. But no one has fought harder for the heart and soul of this nation in my lifetime than Donald John Trump. I'll amen that. Whether it was Billy Bob that said it or not, I'll say it. There ain't been nobody that's fought harder for this country. I'm going to tell you what, folks. We've been fighting the same fight ourselves for 8 years. We have been fighting the same manner for this nation for 8 years and fighting for life. Can't get my hat on straight tonight. And the Lord's help and grace, we're going to be fighting for it another 8 if we can maintain an audience. And I think there's no slowing us down. We've still got basically the same folks been with us from the beginning. There's a lot of folks that's left, but there's been a lot of people that's taken their place. And I'm happy where we're at tonight. And I am grateful for you all that are with us tonight. I ain't worried about folks in the past and not in the past and all that. We're here at May the 12th now, 2026. Happy number 5 to Mr. Ezra Leon McDonald, my grandson. Turns 5 today. That just reminded me. Grandpa Mac's going to be a little more broker before the day's out because I got to send some money to the birthday boy. But for them, for my grandkids, and yes, for my children, even my adult children, Grandpa Mac's going to keep fighting because I love this country. I love God first, folks. God's my first love. Jesus is my first love. My wife is number 2. My kids, 2A. My grandkids. But I love this nation. I love this nation. God, family, and country. And that's what we all should be fighting for. That's what we all should be fighting for. It shouldn't have to be laid on the backs of podcasters to fight for the country. We, the people, need to be fighting for it. We, the people, need to be fighting for it like Donald Trump is. Maybe if we started fighting for the country, we wouldn't have time to run our sores, this sewage that was between our mouth, this tongue, to tear everything down that he's trying to do and complain and gripe and bellyache and murmur and chew on dirt like a bunch of snakes. That's what snakes do. They eat dirt. And they that are of the serpent do the same thing. Just remember that. I'll leave that for your imagination. They that are of the serpent do the same thing. I would prefer to be an eagle and soar high instead of eating on the dirt of the ground. God bless you. God bless this great nation of America. God bless President Trump and yours tonight. And Dennis, yes, it wasn't Clinton. It was the Biden thing, I think, in 2020. Yes, that was John Voight's former son-in-law. Yes, Cleo, that is right. Grant, I think I just left you with some good news. I left you with some good news, buddy. Jay Stearns, you say good riddance to Ted Turner. I'm not going to say that, Stearns. Not going to say that. There is no joy in heaven over Ted Turner dying. No more than there's going to be joy in heaven over your dying. You better be careful how you get those stones. I'm just going to leave that alone for right now. But CNN, the way it's become, and that network, I think, was established, to be frank with you, as an alternative to the three main networks. That was the first. Fox came along and sort of spoiled the party in the 90s, early 90s. And those two networks have been at war. And then the offshoots of MSNBC and CNBC, and now you got Newsmax and all sorts of other little conservative networks here and there, News Nation. And now we got so many of them, you can't even keep up with them all. But I remember the days. It was ABC, NBC, CBS. That's where you got your news. And Ted Turner changed that. Now, whether it was good or bad, I guess we can debate that. And I'm not going to say it was good. But he at least saw what we all see tonight. Media sucks. The news media sucks. But I don't wish harm on Ted Turner and his family. Look, we need to watch our attitudes about stuff like that. It's not good riddance. There may be people that think it's good riddance for us to die. I hope that's not the case, but it's not the Christian way to act. It's not how we act. It's not how we do. We're higher. We have a higher plane that we walk than that. I'm not scolding you, whoever you are out there, but I'm just saying we need to watch ourselves and our attitude about that. Because, see, you can get rid of everybody. See, eventually what's going to happen, this is the thing about the body of Christ, and I'll leave you on this thought. All this tabloid journalism, all this tabloid stuff that people are doing, that all they do is report the bad, the criminals and everything, all the bad ministers and the bad pastors and the bad evangelists. Folks, if you got every bad apple and you put him in a box and got rid of every single one of them that you think's a bad apple tonight, that goes for politics. That goes for our government. And we just threw every bad apple away and got rid of them. This world will still be corrupt. The church will still be corrupt. The nation will still be corrupt. The world will still be corrupt. You know why? Because the people that are left, that have been the pursuers of the bad apples, they're bad apples too. They just don't admit it. You can chew on that apple. And I'll see you back here in the morning on the morning Bible study on the Spirit and Word Faith Network. Sleep on that one, all right? You ain't going to have a lot to sleep on anyway because it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, you West Coast folks, it's bedtime, so hope y'all get a good rest out there. God bless you again. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I will see you back here in the morning. Good night.
Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful day I will never forget. After I've wandered in darkness away, Jesus, my Savior, I met. Oh, what a tender, compassionate friend. He met the need of my heart. Shadows dispelling with joy, I am telling, He made all the darkness depart. Heaven came down and glory filled my soul, When at the cross the Savior made me whole, My sins were washed away, and my night was turned to day. Heaven came down and glory filled my soul, Now I've a hope that will surely endure after the passing of time. I have a future in heaven for sure, there in those mansions sublime. And it's because of that wonderful day when at the cross I believe. Riches eternal and blessings supernal from His precious blood I receive. Heaven came down and glory filled my soul, my soul. When at the cross the Savior made me whole, made me whole. My sins were washed away, and my night was turned to day. Heaven came down and glory filled my soul, filled my soul.